Hey, this is Adam. We finally got around to filming to showcase the Rose's awesome Bennett cosplay. Hope you enjoyed. Be sure to go check out more of their work. Everything they make is really cool. Rose was also the one that made the Festering Desire sword that was showcased in Libra's Albedo video. Links to Rose's social media will be in the description below. As always, if you like what we do and want to help support our projects, please consider subscribing to the channel, sharing our videos, and of course leaving the good old thumbs up and commenting, as well as check out our short form content that I share on TikTok and Instagram. It really helps me out as a content creator, and I always appreciate your support and encouragement, so thanks so much in advance. With that said, here's the behind the scenes look of what went into making this video. For this one, we shot at Bellevue Botanical Gardens again. Joining me as always was my sister Nicole as my PA, and Libra of course for riot control. So we stopped to shoot at the bridge that we came up to first because that would have been a busy spot later on. So we just wanted to take advantage of it while we could. We did some running shots of course of Rose running across the bridge looking super excited, even though they may have not felt that on the inside as I dragged them out to shoot early in the morning in the rain. From our Kazuha shoot, I learned to appreciate overcast days as the challenge of exposing for super high dynamic range scenes isn't there as much like on really bright sunny days. After learning more about some lookup tables for Log3 footage for my Sony FX3, I found the colors more vibrant right off the bat than some of the other ways I used to color correct for it. The diffusion filters I use on my lens also help making the overall picture look softer, so even if cloudy days doesn't make you think of vibrant and optimistic, the context of the video can still carry that. From the bridge, we headed into the ravine.
You say hello?
Hello!
Tell us about the weather today.
Oh, it's perfect out. I mean, you can see the super bright, vibrant skies. Oh my god. Beautiful.
Yeah, get your sunglasses.
I don't really go to Hawaii anymore. There was this ditch that was alongside on one of the trails, and we thought that could be a good pitfall trap for Bennett to fall in. Instead of having Rose actually fall into a hole, we cheated it, and we did one shot of them walking and falling down, and then composited a little dirt kick up as they fell. Then we did another shot of the edge of the ditch where Rose would raise their arm up as kind of like a I'm okay gesture in an optimistic Bennett fashion. We also shot with a lot of props that they made, which was really awesome to have to add even more content, like Bennett's food specialty with the charred egg. We also implemented the arrowhead or knife that's seen on Bennett's shoulder as something he'd use to maybe carve out or whittle wood for fun. Probably should have added a shot of Rose nicking themselves with the blade. Since the reflector that we used a lot during those sunnier days wasn't as useful, we got to utilize my video lights to help as fill lights. This came in handy like when we were filming under the trees where it was a lot darker, of course. Now the last location was at the Meadows, or at least where I think is considered the Meadows. I'm not super sure. Now Nicole had to leave the shoot early to catch a graduation party, so there isn't really much behind the scenes footage up to this point, but here is where we shot some swordplay shots, including Bennett's elemental skill, Passion Overload. Now here's where the heavy VFX compositing came in. To be honest, and not really surprising anymore to you guys who have been following our video projects for a bit, I didn't really have a clear plan in mind on how to pull off this effect. What it landed on was motion tracking the sword the best I could, and then linking the fire assets onto it. Now it wasn't a perfect stick, either it was going to be too fast to motion track, or I should have raised the shutter speed to have a little less motion blur on the sword, or probably a mixture of both. Since it wasn't a perfect track, I debated heavily on to either try another method that I needed to look into, or I could muscle through and adjust the track where it should be. I chose the latter because I think the fire elements from Action VFX are really good and look the most how I imagined it looked, so I painstakingly did that. After a few days and long hours on working on the flame sword, I wanted to add the energy aura you see emitting from Bennett as he charges up for the elemental skill. With this, I used a mixture of energy assets from Triune Digital and shockwave assets from Video Copilot. I then used the Video Copilot's Color Vibrance plugin to make the neutral colored assets into orange, then use the deep glow effect to further enhance the look and add a red tint to some of the energy assets, since Bennett's skill in the game is represented with some darker reds on the fringes of the energy that's being emitted. Then to add some ember and particle assets, I add some particles to swirl around Rose to add more detail to the aura, then some embers from for the sword as well. Now, there was something I wanted to add to bring it more together, and that was heat waves. I could use a displacement effect or trick using energy or flame assets to get the result I wanted, but I always wanted to try this Video Copilot heat wave plugin, so I opted for that, and I think it really tied it a lot together. Then I added a fireball asset that shoots at the camera from the sword slash, which was pretty simple. Then I used the 3D camera tracking data and the tracking points that I made earlier to composite some flames on the grass, and of course adding a bit more glow to them and some more embers on top of that. This was the most visual effects heavy shot. Some other more simple effects was actually a recreation of Bennett's idle animation where a rock falls on his head. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why didn't we just do that practically, as it would have saved post-production time? Well, after some serious contemplation, I found that Rose wasn't so fond of having us throw rocks at them, so we compromised with this.
You guys literally made jokes about throwing rocks at me. Yes, I am afraid.
For this shot, I used a dark circle shape layer and animated it falling from above and animated some more after the reaction of getting hit with the rock. It took some finagling to get the feel right as you try to make it look as natural as possible, then topped it off with some motion blur, and I was pretty happy with the result. Another shot was making the scene of Bennett getting rained on. This one, I wasn't really sure how to go about it either, and I was thinking about doing all this extra stuff with motion tracking and using Trapco in particular. I then just kind of stumbled upon this native effect on After Effects called CC Rain, which looked pretty much what I was looking for and looked pretty good, so I went with that. Simplicity at its finest. So that pretty much wraps up this shoot. I was happy that we got more coverage as well, like just adding in some extra motes and poses to help kind of tie it together. This cinematic was actually about 30 seconds longer than usual. Overall, another awesome Genshin shoot. Hope you stay tuned for our future cosplay cinematics. Again, be sure to subscribe and follow my other platforms as well. As usual, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.